A rich girl gets pregnant by accident, but she was dumped by her boyfriend. What's worse, for the sake of the family's face, her father, he also kicked her out of the house. He found her a poor boy in the countryside as a successor. Her name is Levi. For the sake of the baby in her belly, she embarked on a train alone to go to the poor boy's home. On the train, Levi remembered her father's advice. You are responsible for the consequences of your indulgence. If your mother were still alive, she would have thought it was the best thing to do. Levi was imagining her future, what the poor boy she would marry would look like. The train arrives at the station. A well-mannered man went up to meet it. He was a close friend of Levi's father. He was also the officiant of the wedding. She was about to marry a man she had never met before. Levi was a little nervous too. Her hairpin fell to the ground. She didn't know if this man she was marrying would accept the child in her belly. Across the endless farms, they finally met. The man's name was Ray. Ray was not the big, burly man she thought he was. Instead, he was handsome and well-groomed. Ray fell in love with the beautiful Levi at first sight. He didn't dare to look at Levi. Even his hands were shaking as he poured the water. Ray handed Levi the water. The two of them were once again embarrassed. After a long time, Levi broke the awkwardness by talking to Ray. She asks Ray if he's okay with the baby she's carrying. Ray said no. In the presence of the officiant and her sister and brother-in-law, a simple wedding was held. Ray, a poor boy, didn't even have a wedding ring. Luckily, Levi didn't mind. Ray's home was on a vast farmland. After saying goodbye to his sister, Ray took Levi home in his pickup truck. Levi's spotless high heels. Levi's dusty heels were out of place in the dusty countryside. Levi, an aristocrat, looked around the deserted area. She felt a bit uncomfortable. There was a constant barking from the house. Ray is an attentive young man. He was afraid the dog would scare Levi and locked him up. Ray opened the door for Levi and said gently, "Welcome home." This was a surprise to Levi. The husband her father had chosen for her was so gentle and considerate. Ray even let her sleep in the biggest room and the biggest bed, and he installed indoor plumbing for Levi. The hot and cold water was freely switchable. At dinner, they talked about their past. Levi was a graduate of a prestigious university. Her major is archaeology. What Levi said about archaeology, Ray, who hadn't graduated from elementary school, didn't know anything about it. The situation was awkward for a while. Ray had to get up and quietly clean up the plates on the table and prepared a dessert for Levi, chocolate cake. Levi looked at this man he had never met before and was so gentle and considerate. She was curious and asked Ray,
I was just wondering why you agreed to this.
Ray gave the most sincere answer. Maybe it would be God's will, but is that really the case? Ray is in the next room practicing his handwriting, and Levi is in his room thinking about his ex-boyfriend. A picture of her ex-boyfriend. She's always with her in the form of a necklace. Looking at the picture of her ex-boyfriend, she didn't know if this was the right thing to do. Is it right or wrong to do this to such a tender and considerate